Hello, this is Marcus. I'm a former Walk Hill Bethelite, or as some uh, call it, the farm. I wanted to talk to you briefly. This isn't a video that has anything that a Jehovah's Witness cannot watch. So let's put that out there before you hit stop or delete or whatever the case may be. I just want to get your opinion on something that doesn't have anything to do with doctrine. It's not talking about a teaching either. Again, there's no reason to hit stop and turn around and run. I mean, there's this. I just want your opinion on a matter. And the reason why I want the opinion, we'll discuss that briefly later as well. After my assignment at Bethel, I was in a meeting with a couple of Bethel elders, and they told me that Bethel was looking to make cuts, and I would be one of those cuts. And we would meet again. We would have a second meeting. We discussed that during that meeting. We would have a second meeting, and that meeting was to discuss. Again, the second meeting would be to discuss me making arrangements as to where I would live or where I would go after leaving Bethel. Well, about 2 days later, or 1.5 days later, a brother from the moving department, we have a moving department at Bethel. I actually worked in that department for a short period of time, where if a person's moving furniture from one room to another or whatever the case may be, the brothers from the moving department show up and do that work. Well, those brothers showed up at my room. I didn't know they were coming. No call, no anything. What I was doing was, outside of working, keep in mind this is just 2 days or a day and a half later. So outside of just working and being on line to try to put together a resume, I was trying to think of all my assignments at Bethel and everything to make a resume, and getting that together on the computer. Matter of fact, when the brothers showed up, the laptop was out and open, and I'm at monster.com or hotjobs.com putting out those resumes. The brother asked me where my car was located. I told him it was parked outside of the C residence, and they began putting my things in boxes, and I tried to figure out what was going on. I explained to the brother that I was a bit confused because I was trying to get my arrangements together, because I have another meeting lined up in a few weeks to discuss what my next move would be. And I was expected to, in that period of time before that next meeting, to have some ideas together for us to discuss during that second meeting. And the brother, keep in mind, while I'm explaining these things, my things are being taken to my car, and the brother didn't directly address what I was telling him. He kind of talked around it and continued to direct the brothers to put my things in my car. And then he told me to drop off my dwelling manual at the front desk and drop off my keys at the front desk and what have you. And those were my instructions from him. And later, while in my car, driving with boxes piled up. I mean, all my things were in boxes. My boxes were piled up to where I couldn't see out of the rear view mirror. That's how high everything was piled up in boxes, and how quickly they were put in my car. They weren't. This was a very rushed thing. It wasn't that some were put in my trunk and some were put here and there to level it out so I could see. It was quickly done. Things were just stacked up, go type of a situation. Later, while I had all these things in the car and I'm driving and trying to figure out where I'm going to drive to, because I'm already in the car at that point, I start making calls in order to figure out where I'm going to go. And I ended up going to New Jersey, which was 4 hours away, because I didn't know if my car could safely make the 9-hour trip. I hadn't had an opportunity to check anything out. You know, the first plan was to start getting the resume together. The second plan was to inform people of what was going on and figure out where I was going to be able to stay. And then the third step was to go ahead and get my car checked out, make sure everything was okay, and prepare for the trip. I didn't have time to do any of all that. This is a couple days after the meeting where I was told that Bethel was going to be making cuts, and I was part of those cuts. And this is prior to the next meeting that I was scheduled to have to get my plans and affairs in order. So you can see where there's an issue here. Now, the reason why I asked, what do you think I should do about this situation? The reason why I'm asking your opinion about it is because I've made videos on a number of topics that have come to mind after that scenario. And if you have the opinion that videos should not be made, or this should not be something that's discussed publicly, you have to take into consideration that I spoke to elders about the situation at the congregation that I was attending, and they came over to where I was staying, and I discussed everything with them. They didn't have anything necessarily to share at that time, so they were going to come back and discuss matters later. They never did. Perhaps they got busy, whatever the case may be. Okay. Well, I talked to the circuit overseer, and he had something that he wanted to talk about pioneering. Well, after he discussed those things with me, I told him about this situation, and he never said that he would get back to me necessarily, but he left shortly after I had explained to him the situation and why I was confused about it. And I never heard from him again. And then recently I talked to an elder, and we discussed a number of things, including this situation, and he said that I had given him a lot to think about. And I'm not vilifying these people, but after having said, well, you're giving me a lot to think about, I have yet to hear from him on the subject again. So if this is something that, and definitely family don't really want to hear it, so if this is something that no one in the organization wants to discuss, something that happened, no one wants to talk about it, Who exactly would you have me discuss it with? Is one question that I have. Obviously, it's been a matter of prayer. And keep in mind that prior to putting out any videos, there was at least probably a year or close to 2 years of waiting for answers back from any of the people that I had discussed these matters with, or even from Bethel. I think I had written a letter to Bethel and not really received anything back from that either. So I can't think of any avenue that is available to me that I had not already taken to discuss the issues. So the next step, although controversial, and I can understand it being controversial to go on YouTube, however, if all other avenues have been exhausted, what's the next step? If waiting has already been done, and I think close to 2 years of waiting is patient. If that has all been done, what next? And you can contact me anonymously. You can post down below what you think about the situation. Again, 937-789-4029. You can send a text message. I mean, it's easy to contact me about the situation. And I'll read a scripture. This is from the New World Translation. You can see. And the scripture is Matthew chapter 22. And we'll start with verse 36. And I just want your opinion on it. It says, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" He said to him, "You must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart and with your whole soul and with your whole mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. The second like it is this: you must love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments the whole law hangs and the prophets." Is it loving to put someone out on the street, stuff in their car and boxes, tell them, hey, we will meet with you to make sure that these things are okay, and then do the opposite? Is that loving your neighbor as yourself? That's what happened. So you see why I have an issue with it. It's not a minor thing. It could be looked at as a minor thing if I was a resident with a Jehovah's Witness, and just rank and file Jehovah's Witness from the congregation, a brother or sister from the congregation. I was renting from them, and then they put me out without a 30-day notice, or without a 7-day notice, or without anything. That would be an issue. Now, for me to get on YouTube and do videos, you may think, that's a little bit overkill. But this is Bethel. This is the house of God. This is the organization. This is where the governing body lived. This is where this happened. So it ups the stakes a little bit when the organization itself is the culprit here. It's not just something that happened in one area or in this area. This is Bethel, the Bethel, the one in the U.S. Not even just a branch somewhere. This is the United States Bethel, where this occurred. So that is, in my opinion, not something that can be swept under the rug and say, well, this isn't really the organization that did it. That's exactly what that entails. You let me know what you think should be done. Discussing it is not an issue because no one wants to hear it. So, yeah, I went and did YouTube videos specifically about Bethel, and then afterwards, I became aware of other things. And after I became aware of those things and doing research on different things, that's when I began to make videos about them. So that's it. That's what I wanted to discuss with you. If my family doesn't want to discuss any of those matters, or they don't have any answers, elders don't have any answers, the CEO maybe got busy or whatever, doesn't have any answers, right, Bethel? They're not going to send back anything. Of course it's going to end up on YouTube or some form of social media, because there's no other avenue of discussion. If there's another avenue of discussion, put it down below. Don't put prayer, because I've already done that. That's somewhat obvious. If I'm a Bethelite, then of course I know to pray. But again, contact me. We won't have to discuss anything that is objectionable to you. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, just tell me what you think. Or if you think the video should stop, well, I've explained the reason for the videos, and that I've done everything that I could prior to doing videos. So you let me know what you think the next step is. Walkill Bethelite signing out. Again, I'll say the number a little bit slower, because I hate when people speed through their number. 937 789 4029. Walkill Bethelite signing out.